Am I the asshole if I don't tell my gay son about this part of my past? Hi everyone. I'm new to Reddit, so I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm a 53-year-old dad to 3 kids, including a wonderful son that is 16. For the sake of anonymity, I will call him Ethan here. I will also try to keep it as short as possible. Basically, my son is 16 and he came out a few days ago. I reacted very badly. I cried and basically locked myself in my room for a day straight, but not because he is gay. I do not care about his homosexuality by itself. I love him so much, and I've always been very supportive of gay people. I think even in the 90s, when it was not as accepted as it is now. I even had a gay brother who was 2 years younger than me. And my breakdown to my son's coming out happened because of what happened to him. He was gay. My favorite person in the world, my best friend, my confidant. A bit scrawny lol, but he had a heart of gold. Genuinely the kindest person on earth. But some people decided that him being gay was enough to hurt him. 3 guys attacking my baby brother because he looked at them weird. I was there. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't do anything except call the police, and only 1 guy got caught. And yet the police did nothing. That's what happens when the victim is a gay kid in Nebraska farmland, I guess. Anyway, they got away with it, even though my brother got missing teeth, a twisted wrist, and 2 broken ribs. He stayed in the hospital for 3 days. The next day that I went to check on him, he had overdosed, and I still haven't been able to finish his letter. He was 19. And basically, I never got over it. I still cry myself to sleep some nights when I'm alone, even more than 30 years later, and my son looks so much like him. I swear sometimes I wonder if he isn't reincarnated or something, and everything that I told you, I haven't been able to tell anyone. Not my wife, not my kids, not my gay son. They know my brother died and that I don't talk to my parents, but not what exactly happened to him, and that I disowned my parents because they were relieved that they wouldn't have to hide their gay son anymore, and I don't know how to tell them. It's already hard enough to type this with very few details to strangers on the internet. I don't think I'll be able to tell the ones I love, if especially they ask for details. I'm broken. I know that. But I don't know what to do. I know my son deserves an explanation, but every time I see him, I want to cry. He must think I hate him, and that breaks me even more. But I just don't know how to say it without breaking down completely. What should I do? In the comments, Important Point 8222 says, show him this post, or write him a letter. Sometimes you can't verbally express hard things. You were not the asshole, but need to communicate with him in some form or fashion. Much positivity coming your way from me. I know that has to be hard to think about day in and day out. Aliana D says, this is the way to tell him your story without actually talking about it. It needs to happen, otherwise there's a strong risk he thinks your reaction is one of not accepting him. You can close by reiterating that you can't bring yourself to speak about the events, so if he has questions, just, I don't know, pop you a text? Yeah, at this point his son is totally under the impression that OP's response is to him coming out. Dad needs to rectify this ASAP or he is the asshole. His immediate response is understandable, but his kid doesn't know or understand. I hope he gathers himself and does the right thing soon, or we're gonna see a post about, I came out to my parents and my dad had a mental breakdown. Am I the asshole? Yeah, OP didn't mean to, but he probably just traumatized his son and badly hurt their relationship. OP needs to explain this somehow to make it right, or things will never be right with his son, and he may even lose him. Honestly, I think he should explain it to the family for his sake as much as theirs. If I was OP's spouse, I would be considering if I needed to divorce based on their reaction. How OP does it is up to them, but OP just let their unresolved trauma shake their whole family. Wow. You've been carrying that trauma alone for way too long. Time to get some help. Talk about your brother, your heartbreak, your loss, and the love. Tell your son that you love him and that he is perfect as he is. When you're ready, you should tell Ethan about his uncle. Thinking of you and sending love from this internet stranger. 1000% this. Holding on to the trauma is going to mess up their relationship. I'm in agreement with them too. I think you're not an asshole based on the information you have given. I completely understand why you reacted the way you did. But if I think about it from their perspective and how limited information is for them, it's got to sting to see that kind of reaction. And then I'm going to assume complete stonewalling for at least a few days from you. They really do deserve an explanation for why you acted the way that you did, and no one is going to judge you for that. And if anyone does judge you for it, then you got to evaluate whether that person is worthy of being in your life. Any sane person would see the reaction that you had and the explanation for it and be like, Jesus, that is rough. I completely understand why you reacted the way you did. But yeah, with all of that in mind, please do the right thing, not the arsehole. And now, onto the update. Hello everyone. If you don't remember me, I posted 2 days ago about my son's coming out and my terrible reaction because of my gay brother's death. Your comments helped me realize a lot of things. I have been deeply traumatized by my brother's death, and I need to see a therapist. But more importantly, I owed my family, especially my son, an explanation and an apology. So I decided to tell them. I'm still really emotional right now, so I apologize if I don't really make any sense. First, I told my wife. I wanted to have someone by my side when telling my son. I don't think I would have been able to otherwise, as it's still too hard to say out loud. I followed your advice and showed her this post. She cried a lot and told me that I should have talked about it a long time ago. She said she was contemplating mentioning divorce to me if I didn't change because she thought I was being so hateful, but now she felt terrible. I told her it wasn't her fault and that I should really apologize to Ethan. I didn't want to show him this post because it didn't feel enough given all the harm I caused, so I decided to write a letter to him, my wife standing by my side all along. I told him I couldn't say it out loud because it hurt too much, apologized for how I reacted, and explained to him that he hadn't done anything wrong. Then I explained to him exactly what happened with my baby brother, gave some more details I don't feel comfortable writing again, told him how much I loved him and that I was so sorry for not showing it recently because of my insecurities, that I'm so proud of him for coming out and that I will love him and support him always, no matter what. After this, I gave my son the letter without a word. I actually tried saying something, but nothing came out. So Ethan grabbed the letter and went to his room to read it. I was honestly having a panic attack in my wife's arms when Ethan barged into our room crying and hugging me really tight. He said he was sorry for my brother and that he didn't know, that he was glad I still loved him because he genuinely started to think I really hated him right now. I think that's what broke me, because I realized how I let my trauma make me a terrible father and let it stain my relationship with my boy. Well, my son is doing better now. Today my son smiled at me for the first time since he came out. I'm planning on taking him to the movies tonight, just the two of us. Also, as you all suggested, I booked a therapy appointment. I need it. I haven't slept at all because whenever my mind goes blank, I either remember when I found my brother or when Ethan told me that he thought that I really hated him now. I need to get this fixed so I can finally live my life instead of pretending everything is all right. I've kept this all bottled up for so long, I need to let it go now. Thank you so much, everyone. In the comments, New Introduction says, "This is beautiful, and I'm glad you did this." One more example of how important communication is. Being able to manage emotions and reflect on what led us to act the way that we did. We fully support you and are proud of this step you've taken. This is such a sad story, but I'm so glad that OP realized he had to face his trauma for his son and actually did it. If he had continued as he was, he would have lost his family for sure. Facing trauma like that can feel like moving a mountain, but I imagine it's such a weight off his shoulders already. Hopefully he can start to really heal now. We love people who recognize their shortcomings and actively try to better themselves. I hope OP can work through his trauma. And I hope that OP finds a good therapist. He's spent way too long in pain, and he almost compounded it here by making his son think he hated him. Also, shout out to OP's wife, who was about to make the right choice between her son and OP when she thought that OP was a homophobe. This is a good family, and they're going to come out of this much stronger. Absolutely. Thank you for, being open with us, at least, OP, to start off with. Because I can't imagine how this would have gone down had you not been able to tell someone about it. It really just feels like a lot of those nightmare breakup stories that we do get on here, where people do just straight up divorce. We never exactly get to identify why the other party is doing what they're doing. I'm glad that things are looking up for you now. I really am happy that you did take everyone's advice on board and didn't just shut everyone out. Wishing nothing but the best for you guys going forward. Thank you. Our next post is by user AbleRoom6109, and it's titled, "Am I overreacting? My girlfriend's dream journal is actually a daily log of my activities. I'm asking to see if I'm the one who's completely lost my mind here. My 28 male, girlfriend, 25 female, has this dream journal that she's always writing in. I thought it was cute, expressing her inner world and all that. She claims that it can help her understand her subconscious, which made sense to me. Anyway, last night she accidentally left it open on her bedside table. I wasn't trying to snoop, but a page was open and a phrase caught my eye. 10:17 a.m., he got coffee with 2 sugars, just like I knew he would." Oh god, that's crazy. Bro, run. Just run. My stomach dropped. I glanced at another entry, 3:45 p.m., cold as mum, sounded a little stressed. Must remember to bring up the job thing later. It wasn't a dream journal, it was a play-by-play of my day. Every single entry was about me. My movements, my conversations, even ones she wasn't present for. My habits. It was incredibly detailed, almost like a surveillance log. I haven't confronted her yet because I'm genuinely trying to figure out if this is some bizarre form of affection that I'm not understanding, or if I should be calling my therapist and maybe looking into changing my locks. Am I overreacting by feeling deeply, deeply creeped out? Is this a normal girlfriend thing? Am I just too dense to grasp? Or is this a massive red flag waving in my face? I really like her and haven't had any major issues with our relationship. She's like the sweetest person ever and hasn't shown any signs of being crazy, but now I'm a little scared for my safety. What do I do? In the comments, Whoa Brad says, "If it was me, when she's in the middle of writing, I'd ask her what she's writing about. Tell her you noticed as she was watching you as she wrote, and it honestly looked like she was writing about you. If she lies and says no, what's the point in continuing the relationship? If it's a bit of a baited test, which isn't a nice thing to do, but it'll at least tell you if she's a liar or not, and if not, she'll tell you what she's doing and why. But even if she's lying out of embarrassment, then she doesn't really trust you. But is fine chronicling way too much of what you do? In my opinion, she's got to come clean to salvage this in any way. Flip the script. If a guy did this to his girlfriend, it would be perceived as incredibly creepy and invasive. OP says, this might be the best way to approach this. I'm gonna try this later. Maybe it'll lead to a reasonable explanation. I'll provide an update later. You definitely need to ask her about it and why she would lie/conceal it. But you're not overreacting because I personally would feel so weirded out and constantly watched. Not sure if things can ever feel the same again, but how long have you guys been together? When did she start doing this? OP replies, I can't remember exactly when she started doing it, but I do remember thinking that it was a little weird when there would be times that she would be writing in her dream journal long after she woke up. We've been together for 2 years and living with each other for 1. Interesting Loss says, maybe she's scatterbrained and trying to be attentive and considerate by writing things down. It could be that doing that writing brings her comfort or soothes anxieties. You really never know until you have a calm, rational discussion while bringing up any concerns or grievances that you have with it in delicate, non-confrontational manners. I've been married for like 17 years, and the number of rifts we've had over miscommunication has dwarfed all others over the years. Just talk with her. What she's doing is almost stalker-level weird. Yeah, for real, I have anxiety, and writing things down is just soothing sometimes, even if it makes me look crazy. People really need to start learning the difference between inner thoughts/external actions, because how she actually treats him should matter so much more. Man, this is such a hard one, but I'm still of the thought that if the shoe was on the other foot, if we flipped the genders in this situation, I'd be like, get the hell out of there. You are living with your stalker. This is incredibly weird behavior. No, his anxiety is not going to explain it. I don't think that this is a situation in which communication saves the day. If it were me, this is the third strike. You didn't even have 3 strikes and you're out, but you've hit the third strike and created this universe in which I am severely creeped out by your activities. I would love to know what crazy little gaslighting explanation you have to explain this behavior, but for me, anyone that does this, immediately getting cut out of my life. That is so weird. I already have one CIA agent that watches me through my webcam. I don't need to live with another one in the flesh, alright? And now, onto the update. I followed the advice of user Wobrad35, which suggested that I ask her what she's writing about while she's in the middle of writing. I was on the couch reading a book when I noticed her writing in her journal from the other couch. I asked her what she was writing about and why she was writing her dream journal when she hadn't even gone to sleep yet. She told me that she doesn't always use it for dreams and sometimes uses it as a regular diary. I didn't feel like lying, so I just admitted that I had glanced at it earlier and noticed that she was logging my daily activities. Her face got about as red as a tomato, and she got real quiet for a minute. She said that she knows how bad it looks and that her journal is meant to be a relationship sync journal, as she called it. She says that humans rarely scratch the surface of truly understanding each other, even when they're in relationships. She says her goal is to achieve a deep and intuitive connection with me. Basically, she wants to instinctively know my moods and behaviors so she can be the best partner possible, which explains the entry about me putting 2 sugars in my coffee. Which I don't even think I paid attention to how many sugars I put in my coffee. To me, that sounds like I want to train you like my little puppy dog and figure out what I can do to subconsciously manipulate your behavior. Genuinely, does anyone else feel that? She thinks that will lead to us having an unbreakable bond. It sounds absolutely insane, but when she was explaining it, some of it made sense, I'm not gonna lie. She made it sound like the sweetest thing ever, but if she truly wanted us to be in sync, why didn't she ask me to also track her movements? How does this strengthen our connection if she knows me to this extreme of an extent when I don't know her to that extent? Part of me almost wishes that she just said that she was stalking me, but this explanation almost leaves me feeling more confused. I'm torn. Is this a good explanation, or is this just her justifying obsessive and crazy behavior? Update 2. First off, I want to clarify a few things based on the comments from my last post. It was overwhelming trying to respond to everyone. My girlfriend isn't on the autism spectrum. She doesn't display many related traits. Also, I don't work in a field with sensitive information, so this isn't a case of work espionage. Some of you mentioned possible mental health issues, which she's never brought up, but after what I found this morning, I'd find it highly unlikely that she isn't struggling with something. So, we had a discussion about the relationship sync journals last night after my last update. She was very forthcoming, and I genuinely believed that she was coming from a sincere place. I told her that she didn't have to study my every move to strengthen our bond, and that we could learn about each other through shared activities. She seemed satisfied with that and agreed to stop the journals since they made me uncomfortable. She even offered to let me read the whole journal, which I did. Most of the entries were just notes on my likes and dislikes, but one entry really stood out. She was tracking my Facebook activity log. For those wondering about how she knew about conversations I wasn't present for, we sometimes share my laptop, and I'd forgotten that I was logged into Facebook on it. That made me feel uneasy. Since I primarily work from home, after she left this morning, I decided to check the garage. I remembered seeing some notebooks in a box out there. What I discovered was horrifying. There wasn't just one relationship sync journal, but 5 of them, completely filled with entries dating back a year before we even started dating. We knew each other through friends before dating, so I wasn't a complete stranger, but some of these entries are from before we were even friendly, when we just had minor, cordial encounters. What in God's name? She's been tracking my Facebook for a long time. In one journal, there was essentially a diagram cross-referencing my likes, comments, friend lists, and family members, seemingly to determine who I was closest to. There was also an entry about my ex-girlfriend, where she was taking notes from social media to speculate about why we broke up. Her goal was to prevent herself from making the same mistake as my ex. Even more disturbingly, she had notes about my browser history, specifically mentioning that she'd watched some adult videos from my history to understand how to please me better. She also has entries analyzing my reactions to certain things, my body language, and other details to understand my subconscious motivations. My suspicions confirmed. I felt really bad yesterday when some comments suggested that I was a bad boyfriend for not appreciating how thoughtful she was, which is why I tried to be so understanding last night. Those sound like her burner accounts. But now, I'm genuinely terrified and am contemplating leaving the house before she comes back. And now to the latest update. After my last post, where I discovered the extent of the additional relationship sync journals, I decided the best option was to stay home without telling her about my discovery. Luckily, she invited one of her friends over, so I didn't have to spend a lot of time with her before going to bed. While she was busy with her friend, I ended up taking the advice of the user Electronic News, who suggested that I contact an ex of hers and ask if she ever did anything like that with him. I only knew of one ex, but I remembered that she described him as psycho and asked me to block him on Facebook because she was worried he might harass me. I decided to unblock him and then send him a message asking if we could talk on a voice call. We eventually were able to connect on the phone while she was visiting with her friend. He actually sounded like a very normal guy when I spoke with him. I told him why I was calling, and he got quiet when I mentioned my girlfriend's name, then said, "What has she done now?" I ended up telling him the whole story, and afterwards, I heard him laughing on the other end of the phone. It wasn't a laugh like he thought it was funny, it was more like a laugh of disbelief that this had happened again. He then told me that he had a similar experience with her, but she never journaled around him, and they didn't live together for him to find any journals, so the journal thing was new just for me apparently. But he did recall her knowing things that she shouldn't know sometimes. He also mentioned that things in his apartment would go missing and then suddenly reappear when he would swear that he never touched them. At the time, he was more concerned about a ghost or something than his girlfriend. But he said that he started to feel suffocated by her after a while and chose to break things off with her. After that, that's when the story started to take a turn. Apparently a week after they broke up, she showed up at his house and told him that she is pregnant. He said he decided to give her a second chance, but after a few weeks, he noticed that one of her friends had posted a Snapchat of her at a bar drinking after work. That's when he confronted her, and she admitted that she had faked the pregnancy to get him back. Oh Lord, she crazy. What the hell? That's when he broke things off with her and told her to never contact him again. He said he didn't hear from her again after that. He said that months later, he found a camera in his smoke detector when he was changing the batteries for it. He said he knew it was her, but he couldn't prove it. I told him about her telling me to block him, and he said she must have made me do that because she knew that he would warn me if he found out she had a boyfriend. I'm gonna call movers to arrange for them to come pick up my stuff while she is at work. I'm not even gonna tell her. I don't think I'm going to be able to find movers until next week though, so my plan is to just try to play things off over the next few days. I will keep you all updated. And as of me recording this, There's been no more updates. But if there's more, and you guys want to share them like always, I'll pin it in the comments. In the comments, Hopeful Artichoke says, based on the description of her behaviors, it appears her main fear is abandonment. When she comes home and suddenly learns that she's been abandoned by her favorite person, she is going to lose it. It's going to be bad. You need to switch up your routine completely and stay where she can't find you, at least for the time being. You need to scrub your phone because she probably installed monitoring apps, and I would bet that there's a present underneath your car. Tracking advice. That's so insane to call it a present. Oh my god. If it were me, I would even rent a car for a week just in case. She's definitely got some issues. See also attachment theory. That said, the fucker with those is that they're self-fulfilling. She obsesses about being the perfect partner so that OP doesn't leave her because she's less than perfect, but OP leaves anyway. And OP leaving is the right thing for him, but it'll make her condition worse, in the short run anyway. OP could do one thing to try and help her. Talk to a therapist, internet strangers, friends, or worst case, an AI chatbot to bring those things into perspective, and then write a letter or something to her explaining that while she has the best intentions, the way that she went about it are clear indications of deep-seated issues that she thought she could fix by having a relationship and intellectualizing it. She should get therapy before another relationship. I really don't know if people that are this deep into their mental illness and delusion are really ever going to hear you out. And I know the phrase like, you can only actually help someone who wants to be helped is thrown around a lot here, but I feel like that's pretty true. Especially in this instance. She has, tried to fix it by having a relationship and intellectualizing the situation. She's not done the work to recognize that she is the problem and that someone else is not going to fix her. I feel bad for her, honestly, and even if it was a guy, I'd feel bad for him. I'd say that's quite a sad little place to trap yourself in life, when really the better thing to do would be to get the help, work on yourself, figure out why you are the way you are, get medicated, and then date someone when you're not reliant on them for your mental health. I just wish that was more commonplace and that common sense was more common. But maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe I don't have common sense, as a lot of people in the comments will say. Screw you guys. But yeah, I can't imagine how this is going to blow up when she comes home to OP not being there and he finds her present underneath the car. Oh my god. Walter, we found the present underneath your car, Walter. It's definitely giving Breaking Bad vibes. Oh, what do you mean there's a present in this big barrel of methylamine? How'd that get there? Anyway, I'm yabbering on. Thank you for the story, OP. Sorry that I haven't covered the other updates yet, but unless you want me to ask ChatGPT to make them up for me, that ain't happening just yet, so yeah. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. If you enjoyed, let me know. If you didn't enjoy, cool. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.